Hiya Scott, how are you?
I'm good, Scott, thank you. How are you?
Not bad.
Looking forward to this.
Terrible names in it for rubbish and double work.
Exactly, yeah. We seem to be two of the many Scots that work for ANGUSalive.
That's right. And how about we'll start off with the Dundee fan just now, how's that going?
Painful this season.
Yeah.
I had high hopes this season. Thought that we would do as well as we did last year. I think we'd recruited well and the team seemed to be doing decent at the start of the year, but yeah, it's kind of the train's come off the tracks a little bit as the season's progressed, and we're finding ourselves at the moment second bottom in the league, so we can start to bounce back and hopefully climb the table.
Yeah, it's spoken like the manager there.
I know. I know, I was channeling Tony Docherty there, I think.
Yeah, so we're actually in the Whitehall Theatre just now, a place where you've come to quite a lot, and a place I suspect you performed quite a lot back in the day.
I have actually, yeah. Most recently in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang as the Dick Van Dyke character, Caractacus Potts, and it was one of the coolest parts I ever played actually. We actually had the physical car, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, we had to drive it. I drove it, which was a bit scary because it was a monster piece of kit. All around the stage, the pit was open, so I was always nervous that I went too far and crushed some pit members, but thankfully that never happened. But it was an incredible piece of kit. The car flew, it went up about 10-15 feet in the air with 5 of us in it, and it swayed back and forth. It was just an incredible thing. So yeah, that was my most recent adventure on the Webster stage anyway. So.
Yeah, you're clearly passionate about the theatre stuff. Would you be able to trace your journey about how this all started? Because clearly you've got a love for it and now you're working on it. So how did it all start for you?
Yeah, I'm lucky. I've got the best job in the world. Working in theatre is an absolute gift. Where did it start? I can only take it right back to probably my youngest kind of memories of theatre, our visit in the theatre with my grandmother, who raised me and my brother pretty much, and she was a big passionate theatre supporter, and she took us from a young age to kind of all the pantos that were going on, and as we kind of got a little bit older, she would take us to the kind of local musical society shows, and then again down to Edinburgh, up to Aberdeen to see kind of some of the professional shows and things that were going on, and I really did develop a love and a passion for watching theatre. And then at some point, I think it was about 10, I remember sitting in the audience at the Whitehall Theatre, having watched the panto, and I said to my gran, I want to do that, I want to get up on that stage. So I did. I joined one of the local musical societies, and I don't mind shouting them out if I'm allowed to, Thompson Line Musical Society, and I took part in their production of Oliver, and I was cast as Noah Claypole, who's the kind of Undertaker's assistant who locks Oliver in the coffin and is not very nice to him. So that was where I kicked off my acting career from, and from there onwards I took part in and have taken part in many of the local musical societies through Dundee, Angus, Fife even, which has been brilliant. And as I grew up through those different groups, decided that it was something I maybe wanted to pursue a little bit more seriously. So I studied for a HNC in musical theatre at Angus College here in Arbroath. Had a blast, absolutely loved it, made some friends for life, and from there decided that I wanted to take it another step further. So went down the road to Carlisle and studied down there for a Bachelor of the Arts, joint honours degree in musical theatre and technical theatre. I did an elective while I was doing my degree in theatre management, never thinking that was something that would become useful, but lo and behold it, a few years later I ended up back up the road for a variety of reasons, and I was lucky enough to become the venue manager up at the Whitehall Theatre, which I kind of referenced earlier was a venue that I grew up in and grew up around, and so it was almost a bit of a full circle moment for me to land up back up there, and I was there for 10 years. And when I went to the Whitehall Theatre, and it's probably no secret that prior to that the Whitehall had quite a turbulent past. There'd been businesses that had been operating it that had gone bust, and the theatre was quite unsustainable. The programming wasn't great. The experience for the customers up there at the time wasn't fantastic. So in that 10-year period, it was all about just trying to redevelop and re-enhance what was there. We looked at the programming, really tried to program out a wide variety of good programming that pulled the public back, and we won the public confidence back, and we were able to then start to reinvest in the venue, improve it, and get it up to the standard that it is today. And I got through COVID at the Whitehall Theatre, and I think I probably didn't realise it, but at the time I felt like I just needed a change. I'd been there 10 years. I was really proud of what I'd achieved in my time there, and out of nowhere, this job came up with ANGUSalive as Theatre and Venues team leader, and I thought, you know what, it's not too far down the road. Theatre jobs don't come up all that often. Why not apply for it? So I did, and I was delighted to be announced as the preferred candidate, and subsequently decided that it was the right move for me. And to be honest with you, that's 2.5 years now, and I've never really looked back. I love this job. It's a real privilege. We've got a real fantastic team. We've got some fantastic venues. I mean, you look at this auditorium behind us, it's absolutely stunning, and I think it's really the jewel in the crown of theatres on the East Coast. And it's our gift to be able to programme into this venue. So yeah, we've got a great team and a great strategy around just trying to increase footfall and bring the right shows in, invest in the venues where we can, try and improve the customer journey. And yeah, it's really exciting. I think we've achieved a lot already, but there's so much further that we can go.
Tremendous. Lots of great stuff in there. And you had like a full head of hair, like normal colour before you started.
Yeah, it was certainly not this colour of grey, and I was a few stone lighter, definitely, before I joined ANGUSalive.
What do you think performance and the art as it gives to someone?
I mean, it gives everything. From an audience member's perspective, there's nothing more magical than from the moment you buy your ticket, or you pick up your brochure, in fact, you're excited about that event. You phone, you book your ticket, you're going, you start to plan your night, whether you're meeting friends for drinks before, or a meal before, or however that's going to look. You're excited about that event, and then the moment you step through the building, you've got that warm welcome from the staff, you relax into your seat as the house lights dim, and it's a level of just pure immersion into what's happening on the stage. You forget what's going on in your life, and I think it's a bit of escapism for somebody that's sitting in the theatre and watching, and that's really so good for people's mental health. And to be able to come in and have a laugh or have a cry, or just enjoy some live music or live comedy, that's a real gift that is available to all of us. And from a performer's perspective, being on stage is the best experience ever. It's like riding a roller coaster at times, because things do go wrong, but you just you tread water and you continue as though it was meant to happen. But yeah, there's nothing better than performing in front of a live crowd, feeling their laughter, feeling the energy of the crowd, but equally you get that when you're sitting in the auditorium watching too. So yeah.
You see the bloopers you mentioned there. You've got a memorable one when you've just had a nuke or something really suspect went wrong.
There's probably so many, and there's one that jumps to mind. I was in a production of Anything Goes in Dundee with Dundee Operatic Society, and I was playing Billy Crocker, who's kind of the young romantic lead. Obviously it was a few years ago, I'm not so young now, wouldn't get away with that. But I was playing Billy Crocker, and it's set aboard a cruise ship called the SS American. And it's kind of a bit of a farce. There's whole loads of different plot lines that are followed through, but there's this gangster called Moonface Martin that Billy befriends, and as part of the journey, they kind of help each other to their ultimate goal of Billy wants to marry this beautiful debutante called Hope Harcourt. Anyway, I was playing against this lovely chap who was a bit older than I was, and he was playing Moonface Martin. And the scene had changed, and I'd come on in my costume, and it was a kind of duologue scene, so he was supposed to appear on stage. So I was standing on stage waiting for him to come on, and I heard kind of commotion backstage, so I was just filling time, trying to do what I could do to try and keep things going, so that it seemed like it was part of the show, as you always try and do. You cover the gaffes, and he walked on in the costume for the next scene, dressed in, and I don't know if it's culturally appropriate, dressed in an outfit of somebody from the Orient. So it was the completely wrong costume at the completely wrong scene. He started feeding me lines from that scene, and yeah, I think he quickly realised he was in the wrong place, so he legged it off, left me again to fill time, and about 3 or 4 minutes later reappeared in the right costume. So yeah.
That's tremendous. You see, you mentioned earlier on about like this being the Julian Crown. There's two other venues that are obviously programmed out here. What do you think that these three venues offer in Angus? Because they're not bad, right?
No, they're fantastic. We're so lucky in Angus to have these three venues that we are programming into at the moment, and they're so diverse. This is our traditional theatre. It's an end-on theatre. We've got a capacity of just under 500 seats for each performance that takes place here. Up at the Whitehall, it's such a flexible space. You know, we've had some really fantastic things take place there. We had back in November Tidelines, and it was the first time that we'd attempted a kind of standing gig, and I was there as a paid member of the crowd, and it was I think we were actually talking about it as a team yesterday. I think it's probably my favourite gig I've ever been to. I forgot I was standing in the Whitehall in Forfar. It was just incredible. The band were fantastic. Everybody around it. It was like being at, you know, like the O2, or, you know, such was the feeling in the room because it's so intimate. It just felt fantastic. And then Montrose Town Hall is very similar to the Whitehall, albeit a bit smaller. It's got that flexibility. We can have it as a traditional theatre seated venue. We can have it cabaret style. We can have it as a standing gig. So we've got real diversity in our venues. They're fantastic spaces.
In terms of your own point of view, what are you trying to achieve? What do you think can be achieved with these venues?
That was a question I think I was asked at my interview, and it's one I stand by at the moment. And my passion has always been to bring as much live performance to Angus as possible, of the highest quality, because, you know, I'm an Angus resident myself. I live in Carnoustie. I went to Monfleet High School, so I've grown up in Angus, and I'm aware, as somebody that regularly attends live theatre, that, you know, for some of the real high quality stuff, I have to go to Glasgow, Edinburgh, Aberdeen. So it's trying to bring as much of that high quality stuff as possible to Angus, to our audiences, right to people's doorsteps, so that they can really celebrate, you know, the fact that we've got some of these big names coming to these venues.
What are you looking forward to, which is coming up in the next few months?
There's so much to look forward to. I think we've got some really, really good comedy acts coming up. We've got Larry Dean in here. He was just, he had a slot on the Royal Variety Show just a few weeks ago. I think that was all on TV just after Christmas. We've got Russell Kane, Ed Byrne, Gary Meikle. I don't want to miss anybody, but there's such a great range of fantastic comedy coming our way. We've got some really great live music, some great drama, which is something that we haven't programmed an awful lot. But yeah, some really good drama to look out for. When They Were Young, which is a play about people that deprived people in Glasgow. So yeah, really kind of looking forward to that coming. We've got Irish Annies, which has got Ricky Tomlinson of the Royal Family fame. There's just so much, and of course there's our Panto, which we always look forward to every year. It's our biggest show in the year. It brings in our biggest crowds, and this year it's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. So yeah, really excited. There's so much variety for everyone to come and enjoy.
A lot happening, and you're not long off, hot off the heels of the Theatre Star School.
Yeah.
Can you talk us through the performance they've just had and what you've achieved so far with Theatre Stars?
Yeah, so I put this completely down to the team. I have not got too much to do with Theatre Stars. The team really operate it, but we're so proud of it. It started now 2 years ago, and it started with a small number of young people coming along, and with the aim of just developing their skills, experiencing performing on this stage. Their classes take place on this stage, which is so cool. I mean, the opportunity to come up and stand on this stage and be taught to dance, sing and act, I mean, that you can't do it anywhere better, you know, you really can. But yeah, the way that they have grown in the 2 years has just been sensational. We've just finished a production of Annie Junior, and it was brilliant, and I saw so much progression in the young people. From even the year before when they'd performed Madagascar Junior, they were so much more confident. The show was slick, it was polished, and yeah, it's just, you know, you can see that they're starting to form friendships. And the really great thing about Theatre Stars is what it does is it builds a community around this venue, and that's something that as a team we are so keen to do. This is Arbroath's theatre, this is Angus's theatre, and we want the people in the community to feel that. You know, it's not just a place they have to pay to come to. It's a place that, you know, it's Angus's home. It's Angus's home of entertainment, and that's what we want them to feel like. You know, the doors are open, it's a welcoming place to be, and it's a place that they identify and feel comfortable and happy in.
Tremendous. And you mentioned the team there. You've got a decent team here, don't you?
Yeah, they're fantastic. I can't sing their praises high enough. It's a very small team, but we're also passionate and driven in terms of, you know, trying to just improve what we've got here. And it's not always easy because we are such a small team and we're trying to deliver, you know, run without a hitch and successfully, and we're delivering the customer service that we want to be delivering. It's no mean feat. They go above and beyond every single day. And yeah, genuinely, I'm so proud of them. They're just such a great team, and we're also invested in making sure that theatre and venues is a success.
Using these venues is very important because ANGUSalive is a charitable trust where the profit or any tickets that are sold and profit that's made doesn't go into anyone's pocket here, it goes back to the community.
Exactly.
How important that is that as a message on the basis that there is theatres operating elsewhere which are struggling as an area which is having a little bit difficult at the moment?
Yeah, it's no secret. I think you don't have to look too far, and you know, harken back to where I worked previously. That's a venue that, in its time, has struggled. So, you know, if people want these venues to exist, and I feel probably more now as a new dad that I have a real responsibility to make sure that for my son, venues like this exist. That he has the same opportunities that I have had to come in to experience live theatre, to sit as an audience member and enjoy a show, enjoy comedy, enjoy live music. I feel there's a real responsibility for us as a team, but actually collectively as a community through Angus, to make sure that we are supporting these venues. And there's many ways that you can do that. You know, it's buying a ticket, it's donating. As you say, Scott, all of that money comes straight back into ANGUSalive, and it allows us to do things that help us improve the customer experience in the venue. And I think, you know, you can see anyone that's visited the Webster Theatre, you know, recently, that there have been some improvements in terms of front of house. We've really tried to warm that up, modernise it, make it feel far more welcoming. There's new furniture. The assembly hall's been repainted. All of that work has come from, you know, people donating to ANGUSalive and allowing us to, you know, use those funds in a way that improves their venues.
Scott, good job.
Thanks.
Good job.
Is that all right?